You know that old group Belle Biv DeVoe? They were on to something. Not the big butt and a smile part. That's debatable. That girl is poison, literally. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. The final episode of the first season of Pluribus is here. It is called La Chica o El Mundo, which means in Spanish, the girl or the world, which we'll get to a very fitting moment that happens in this between Manusos and Carol. As I sort of guessed that once Manusos and Carol got together, there was going to be some friction because the world has done a number on Carol, and now she feels slightly different than the way that she felt when she first sent that very first videotape off. And Carol very much has this idea or this belief in her head that she is willing to live in this sort of matrix, this Westworld, this faux simulation of humanity, as long as they have given her complete and total autonomy of herself. As long as she doesn't ever have to worry about being changed into one of them, she is willing to play within the system and the game that they have sort of delivered to her. As long as she stays on their side and I stay on my side, all bets were good. The second that gets thrown off, whole world is going to be thrown off into a tizzy. And so you get to see Manuso's coming from the one version of how he sees things, and Carol coming from another, and then them eventually ending up on the same side, much to the heartbreak of Carol. So we get a bit of a flash forward before we flash back, but it is day 71 where we see a young girl, one of the remaining 13 in Peru. It's a teenage girl. Her name is Kusumaya, I believe. But she is going through a whole ritual. She's willing to give herself over and become one of the joined. It's actually good to sort of see the painless process that this sort of goes through to sort of just assimilate yourself into this moment. And what you see is her going through this process, or getting prepped, and they made a handmade cocktail for her. She inhales it, and then she kind of goes into the convulsion state, and then she smiles. And it's important for later, but it seems like she's in bliss. It's a happiness piece, like probably the happiest that she's ever been. She's felt a happiness being connected to the rest, which is something that Zosha sort of brings back up, an overall form of happiness later. But that's their deposit before we get on to the rest of the story, where we actually see Carol and Manusos meet up. And so then we go back 11 days, and Manusos is en route. He's pulling up, and Carol and Zosha are watching a TV monitor of probably a drone following them as he is heading that way on an ambulance. And Carol's like, "Well, what do you know about him?" And Zosha sort of given the facts of like, "Yeah, this is the person that you spoke to on the plane a while back and yelled at. You didn't know who he was. Not a big deal. Everybody was going through some things at that point in time." Carol's asking like, "Well, what does he want with me?" And they're like, "We don't know, because he won't speak to any of us. We have no idea what it is that he wants from you." But he did see the first video that you got, and so something in that video sort of has jettisoned him towards you. And Carol's like, "Okay, got it." Now, mind you, Carol's not the same person she was when she first got that video, or when she first did that video. But they are smart enough to know that they probably should not be present when Manusos arrives, because there's going to be a violent response to him. They don't think he's going to respond well to them. Based on all the way that he's responded every time he's seen one of them, they shouldn't be there. And Carol's like, "Well, hold on. Is he violent?" And they pause for a moment and like, "He won't be violent towards you. We don't think he won't be violent towards you. To us, we know he don't rock with us at all. So we need to step away and not be around." Carol feels like I don't know what he wants, but I feel like we should at least hear him out. He's come all this way. He's done all this to see me. The very least that I could do is hear him out. And so she tells them to leave, but you can tell that there's clearly a fear of him or what he's about to do to Carol, as far as her brain and what she may change her mind to. They feel like they've got Carol in a very comfortable spot. And Manusos is that flame you're throwing on a fire that has sort of been subdued, and this can just re-enlighten and reignite that altogether. They kind of want to keep them separate, but because of the way that they live and the way that they do things, they kind of have to just sit this one out. And they don't want to be around in case Manussos does anything crazy. They leave, and then Carol and Manussos sort of have a one-off or a mano a mano outside of her home. He's not willing to come into her home. She's not willing to go inside of his ambulance to have this conversation. The language barrier is sort of there, but he gets out of the car and he recites the speech that he's been practicing this entire time to get there. Like, here's my name. I'm not one of them. I'm here to help you turn back the world. Carol's like, cool, I'm willing to hear you out. So she goes to go grab her phone because she knows there's a language barrier between the two of them, and he wants no parts of it. He feels like they're bugging the phone, and he knocks the phone into the sewer, to which Carol's like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? They're completely at odds of how they want to even converse with each other, let alone how they feel about this particular situation. She's done. She decides to go back into the house. Like, I don't want anything to do with you. And sort of as a peace offering, as a flower, he gets her phone back out of the sewer grate that got knocked into. And then he goes to her. And then they go outside and have a conversation outside in the sun under an umbrella because he's very paranoid. Manussos is super paranoid. But because he hasn't done what Carol has done and actually done the homework to figure out what they are and what they do and what they can do, he's not taking any chances. Like, they're bugging me. They're doing this and this. And then Carol's like, that's not how they operate. They don't. If you come in, I can tell you exactly how they are, and they don't lie. She's explaining things like they don't lie. They'll give you whatever you want. Like, you don't know what they are because you've never actually had decided to have a conversation with them. So you're in this paranoid bubble, and you shouldn't be. Eventually, she gets him to come into the house to talk there, but he's looking around for bugs. He's searching the entire house for bugs. He's like, bugs, like, let me look. And she's like, the place isn't bugged. Like, what's wrong with you? These people are harmless. They can't harm a fly. They can't kill us. She starts kind of going into details about this and how they respond. And he's not really hearing it. And it's funny because the way they communicate is through a phone, and it's picking up things from both of them and saying them as fast as you can, and possibly it's actually a really well written device, just as a viewer to watch, to see how this is filmed. Like, it's a one man play, but there's basically a robot that's in between the two of them that is translating. Whereas I said before they might use one of the joined to do it, using a robot actually works out. It's a little bit funnier because it keeps them both on a level playing field. Manussos doesn't feel like he's being in harm. But Manussos can go through the house, looking. He doesn't find anything, but then he gets into the bar cabinet and he finds something. He's like, what is this? And she's like, well, what is that? It's a square rectangle. Looks like it might be recording or tracking. It's a tracking mechanism. She doesn't have any clue. Like, Carol has no idea how that got there or what that is. So she immediately calls the joined Zosha and they're like, hey, what is this? Like, there's something in my liquor cabinet. How did this get here? Why did you guys bug me? And they're like, hold on. This isn't from us. We did not bug you. This is from Helen. Helen put this here when you guys were freezing your eggs previously, and put these here to see if you were going to the liquor cabinet or not. And so she gets off the phone and he's like, this isn't from them. And she's like, well, who? And he's like, my wife, which that's actually a new tidbit. I don't know if I thought they were partners in a book sense, not partners as far as lovers. I did think there was more to them than what was given to us, but to know that they were wife or married, or at least she was under the belief that they felt like they were married, is news to me, unless I just missed something completely earlier. But that they also were planning a family. They were planning to have eggs, which is an important piece that sort of comes back in this episode. But she's like, yeah, it wasn't them. My wife put that there beforehand. And so it's a way of saying, also, I trust whatever the heck that is they're saying. We're fine. Nothing's here. It's at that point that Carol's like, I'm tired. Like, whatever we have back and forth, we can discuss this in the morning. I just don't want to have any more conversation with you. I just want to have a drink and chill and not discuss this any longer. So she takes him to a neighbor's house and like, hey, you can rest here. You can hang here. I'm sure there's stuff here, food here. You can sleep in their bed. Him being the type of person who he is, that you know his history, he's like, I got to take a note and say, I'm sorry for taking this. I'm doing this. And this Carol's like, ain't nobody here. Just take it. Like, just be in here. And she's like, this isn't your house. Like, whose house is it? Ain't nobody here. It's a very different way of how they approach the world turning back around. Carol goes home to have her drinks, and Manusso's brain starts triggering. And he immediately gets on the phone and calls the joined. Specifically, he asked when Carol made the phone call, like, who did you call? He asked to talk to the person that Carol normally talks to. And so they send over Zosha, which when Carol wakes from her drunken stupor, she sees Zosha's car in the driveway and sees that Zosha's over there with Manusos, and she just head first goes in. It's clear that she's become uh, possessive and like it's for her it feels like a relationship, and granted she is fully aware of who Zosha truly is, but in her brain she is fixed to say, hey, if I live in this world, then everything that goes with this world I'm going to be protective of. So I'm also going to be protective of Zosha, who is my girl, that I want to have her and don't want this dirty man who just came around to be anywhere near her. Also with the fact that she knows that they'll do whatever it is that he asked for her to do. She goes storming in and collects Zosha. She goes in and collects Zosha, and she's like, hey, I'm just trying to get information. And she's like, well, what's going on? He's like, well, what do you know? It's like, I know everything. They told me everything. And Carol's like, okay, that makes me a little bit uneasy. So she takes Zosha back and starts having to her house and starts having a conversation with Zosha. And like, hey, Zosha, what did you tell him? He's like, well, we told him everything. Like, we didn't lie, and we didn't like give away any information that wasn't that like he unwillingly, but whatever he asked, we answered because we can't lie, and he had some very detailed questions, and we've answered them all. Um, to which she then says, hey, Carol, something's about to happen. Don't be alarmed. It'll be fine. She lays down and starts convulsing, which she immediately is like, what the hell is Manusos doing? So she runs over to Manusos, who has called over another joint to do a test theory on him. And he's testing to see if he can get him to come out of the unjoined spec. So he has like his book that he had the frequencies in. One of them was not crossed off. So he's trying this frequency on this like sort of CB radio that he has, which is causing the joy that he has to sort of convulse more. And he's saying, come back home, come back home. You can come out of this, come out of this. I think his name is Rick. I think that's what he's saying, but it's hard with the English part. But he wants him to come on. He's like, come on out, come on out, come on out. He keeps trying it to the point where Carol makes her way over there, grabs a shotgun and fires off a warning shot. Like, stop whatever it is you're doing. That's enough. And then we find out she subdues him. That he's no longer able to do any test subjects on the join because she has to go back and take care of Zosha. Here's the thing. We get the subduing part. We didn't see it really in real time. We'll get to the point when he gets subdued and how she does it afterwards. But Manusos is like a dog on a bone. At this point, the only way to actually stop him from doing these tests and figuring out how to undo this is to actually kill him. And in their conversation that they had earlier outside, they have very differing opinions on how to handle this. Like, Carol would like to change them back to make them all human again. It's like, they're humans. We should change them back. Manusos is very much like, kill them all. If we can't change them, which it doesn't seem like we can, kill them. But now he's doing some tests. It's like, all right, Carol, you might be onto something. Perhaps we can change them. Carol's like, stop. The world that I have right now is perfect. I don't need you to touch anything. I don't need you to do anything. How I have this set up, I'm okay with living like this. Please let this be. Carol goes back to check on Zosha, though, after getting a call from Latchby, who's like, you are the devil. Stop. And Carol's like, this wasn't me. I didn't do this. Nobody's going to hear that. They all know that Carol is the person who causes all this harm. So she gets off the phone, and Zosha's kind of like, well, you know what this means. And Carol's devastated because, yeah, if Manusos is here and he's causing them this much harm and causing harm to their entire hive, they got to roll out again. And Carol's like, crap. I get it. Yes, you got to leave. And so she sees Zosha off, and Zosha tells Carol that they're sorry that it came to this. And then they all leave. To that point, that Carol goes over to the trunk of the car, and that's where Manusos was being held, and lets Manusos out. And she tells him that they're all leaving again, to which he says so. Because he's like, well, okay, so it was worth it. It was worth it for me to do the test. Similar to how she did her test earlier and they all disappeared. She didn't spend 30 days without them. she needed them back. He hasn't gotten to that point yet, nor does it seem like he'll ever get to that point because he lived in isolation for all that time. He's fine being alone. Like for him, being alone is fine. He wants the people. She had the people, pushed them away, was living alone and didn't want that. And so they are very different in how they have sort of approached this world now. But now that he says, he's like, I know more. I know more about them. I know more that makes them tick. I think what I was saying was wrong. I think you might be onto something. I think we can change them. Um, now that we have a little bit of an insight, now the true work begins. And Carol's like, cool, you're going to do that work without me. She lets him know, like, there's water and electricity throughout all these homes. If you need food, just dial the button 0 and they will bring food to you. And she gets in her car and is about to head off and follow behind Zosha and them. It's that point that he says to him before she gets in the car, do you want to save the world or the girl? Reverse that. Do you want to save the girl or the world? And she drives off to follow behind them, which is her answer. It's like, I'd rather be with the girl. And I think this is what the whole sort of premise of this season is. Like, when she first got into this, she was headstrong. Like, nope, I don't want any parts of this. I don't want any parts of this. They're eating people. And then there was enough separation, enough humanity removed from her life that she was willing to sort of live in this facade, live in the Stepford Wives of it all, if you will, to just be like, hey, as long as they don't try to harm me or change me, I can play this game. I'm willing to play this game. I'm willing to live in this world. If they let me be who I am, I'm okay with this. And I don't need you, Manustos, trying to be the disruptor of fixing all of this. Like, we don't need to change them because this world works for me. So she follows behind them all. And then we see sort of some dates and some relationship building between she and Zosha. They're going off to beaches. They're doing sunsets. They're living in lavish resorts, ski resorts. They're having their best life. They are clearly genuinely happy. Carol's genuinely happy. There's a new happiness level that the join via Zosha could reach, which we learn very, very quickly. So we get to the lodge and everything seems good until Carol starts asking a couple more questions. First, she asks Zosha, is there someone from unjoined Zosha's past that exists before all of this occurred? And they're like, yes. And she asks, is that person within you all? And she says no. Which means one of two things. One, it's one of the remaining 11, which I think is doubtful, or that person died prior to the joining happening. Like, that person was deceased. Either way, that person's not a part of this, so she can't find out any extra information about who the true Zosha is. But then we find out that Carol's happy. Carol's like, I'm happy. Like, this is bliss. Like, whatever we have here works. I can stay being me while living in this world and doing the fun things that I have with somebody beautiful like you who's a partner with me. She's like, yeah, I'm happy. And I don't want this to end. I don't want this to go away. And Zosha's like, cool. It can get better. It only gets better. To which Carol's like, wait, what do you mean it only gets better? Like, this is going to be it for me. Like, there's no next level. Like, what you're referring to is like me being a part of the join as being happier or next level of happiness. But I'm not doing that. And if I'm correct, you correct me if I'm wrong, you need my permission to take my stem cells to go ahead and make anything to have me turn into the join. To which Zosha starts dancing around a little bit like, yeah. Because the way that she words it, Carol says, is that different now? Like, do you guys need to stick a needle into my back to get my stem cells? Is that different now? And Zosha says, no, that part is still accurate. Carol then follows up, was like, well, hold on. There's no other way to get my stem cells, is there? To which the join don't answer, which is a non-answer because they can't lie. They're not going to give anything. They choose not to answer that, which lets Carol know that there is another way. And the other way is dirty as hell. They are using the aforementioned frozen eggs that she had with Helen to extract and to get stem cells from her frozen embryo. And Helen asked, like, is that something you can do? Can you make them from my eggs? Like, we do have your eggs. We can make them. It takes patience, some time, but stem cells can be made from them. You can tell that she's brokenhearted. Like, on twofold. One, the sheen of happiness that she was willing to live in immediately gets shattered. And these people they're demons. As much as she thought she could live in this world and be happy and be one with them, still being able to be herself, she realized that at the end all be all is always for her to be a part of their join. But two, they violated her. They took something that was important to her, and which were her frozen eggs. And if there was a world where they could ever fix things or twist things again, those eggs would have still come into play. But now they're just deciding to, on their own accord, remove them from the board without actually asking her, which it goes against her principles. It goes against what her mom did for her when that camp when they were trying to change her sexuality. This is very much forcing her into doing something, despite how happy she is and how much she wants to spend time with Zosha. She's willing to like burn it all down for this. Like, you didn't give me that option. You took away my ability to choose, which is a no-go, no-fly zone for Carol. Zosha's continuing on to talk about the happiness that she's going to feel if she becomes a part of their world. She's like, look, there was another one of you guys who was the unjoined, who her name was Kusumaya. She was in Peru. She was a teenager. She just joined, and you could feel her have the happiest bliss that she's ever had in her entire life in that moment. Kara's like, I don't care about what you're saying anymore. How long do I have? And it's at that point they're like, well, based on what we have, a month, but perhaps a 2-month or 3-month at tops. Carol then says, if you loved me, you wouldn't do this. And they say they are doing this because they love her. And I think Zosha says, I do love you. But it's hollow now. Like, whatever, in the last episode, I mentioned how she was switching the pronouns from we to they to I. And it sort of just gave the idea to Carol that, oh, this is coming from Zosha as a whole. But now seeing how she is treating her in the response to this, she sees that no matter how many times you should say, I love you, or I do this, it's coming from a place of you being told that because it makes me happy and not because you actually mean it, which is the final straw for Carol. So then we jump back to Manusos, who is hard at work. He's in his new home, trying to figure out what it is to these radio signals to figure out a way to sort of reverse it or pull people out. He's like, it looks like at least for a moment, this works in a bit. So now I had to figure out how to get this signal on a loop to pull out whatever it is that I need to. But while he's figuring that out, he starts hearing a helicopter come. Loud ass helicopter with a big package, big box, huge, that's attached to it. And then the helicopter lands the box directly in front of Carol's place. And then we zoom in and we see that it's Carol and Zosha. Zosha flying, Carol getting out the helicopter. And they have a long look at each other. And you can see that this is utter and total heartbreak and betrayal from Carol. I think the join know what they have done as well. Like, we've lost her. Like, we had her, and whatever we did because of our truthfulness, they can't help themselves. Pushed it away. Now it's funny because they could have played the game. Like, this is what the problem with them being so truthful. They could have played the game and lied to her and say, "Hey, no, we don't have your stem cells," and she would have been able to live within the bliss of ignorance and happiness that she has until they actually just joined her on their own. That's not how they operate. And because of that, they did in fact give her some onus by telling her the truth, but not the fact that they completely violated and taken her eggs. But she stands there and she pulls away, broken hearted, knowing that, like, all right, I'm going back on this island alone again. And she looks over at Manusos like, you won. We're going to try to turn them. Let's whatever you want to do, let's do it. And she goes back into her house. Not before Manusos asks, like, what is this? And it's at that point that she's like, it's an atom bomb. And then that's how the season ends. You recall way back in the day, I think it was the hospital episode, she asked, like, hey, if you guys give me an atom bomb, would you give it to me? And they're like, I mean, I guess. You don't want one, right? You don't need one. So now she has it as an insurance policy, I think. I think she's going to try and do it the correct way, the Manusos way, of the way that she originally wanted to do. Is like, let's try and turn them back to normal. However, if that does not work and her time gets to that 1 month, 2 month range, blow everybody the fuck up. Like, she's like, kill them all. I don't care anymore. I'm done. Which is a wild swing for Carol. And it's an emotional bit. It's funny because this is a very subdued episode. But there are some very beautiful moments in it. And I think just the look between Carol and Zosha when she's happy, and the look between Carol and Zosha when Carol is completely and totally just gutted and ripped. Bravo to Miss Seehorn, because there are some emotional beats in here that just you feel the pain that she has, and that poor girl's about to go into that house and just drink like nonstop. Like she gonna be drunk as hell. Like I don't think she's gonna be any help to a new source in the next season. She's gonna be a drunken mess, and I don't know how they ever get back to the approach of getting her to talk to them or be involved with them in any way whatsoever. Um, but yeah, that's the season. This is a very, really good show. And I know it moves slow for some people, but I think for me, there's so much character questions that you have as a person. Like, when would I decide to, like, you know what, just hang it up? Like, if this is what it got to be joined and be one with my person, when do you self transition? When do you say, hey, it's like the Kevorkian side, like, hey, I'm sick or I'm alone and nobody else is here with me. Take me with you. Like, I'd rather be with you. Or do you just say, hey, I want to live in this world, this bliss that you've created for me. Let me stay in this. But what's your trigger to say, okay, now the veil has been relieved. I don't know. You guys aren't allowing me to be who I am within this world. F you guys. And then there's the Menuso stuff at all. It's like, nope, I don't like these things. I don't want these things in me. I don't even want the food that they give me. Kill them all, unless we can fix them. What did you guys think about this final episode of Pluribus first season? Go leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at HollywoodADI, or you can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.